Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Greetings, everybody. Wow. So, how much do you really accept yourself and your flaws in life? When I started to accept it completely changed my life. Now, one thing I've discovered is that I haven't really accepted it all throughout these years that I thought that I once did. And if I did, it would be temporary. So it was very short lived. So I'd come back to it again, suffer for a couple of months. But I think they say that I'm wise beyond my years because I take the time to sit down with my thoughts and feelings and meditate. Deep breathing, eyes closed meditation, some real deep things to achieve such peace that I have currently. And so when I've discovered this for myself, I remember the book, The Courage to Be Disliked. And I remember my friend saying to me that I want to be liked by everybody a few years ago. And I'm not like that anymore. And in the book, it says, of course I want to be liked, but I'm okay if I'm not being liked. So it's not that I purposely or we purposely want to. It's just that we're okay, whether or not we are or we aren't loved by everybody that we show love and respect to. And that's something that is very common in my life. I counted like maybe 7 out of 10 people throughout the past decade I show love and support to just pushed me away and then just ended up sneak dissing, started low-key hating on me. It's a very common thing that I accept fully. Because not having expectations made me very happy. But the idea that I at least had the heart to do it, the heart to stand up and shout them out to the world, and not just in a small, group of people, like to the masses. And that really boosted my self-esteem. Not that I needed approval from them or anybody for that matter, but because I accept myself to be somebody that has a heart to do things that I want to do because I want to do it. A lot of times, people do the things that don't make them happy. There's certain things in life you do that you hate to maintain what you have, but even so, at the end of the day, those things are worth it. Now, what's worth it to you, and what's worth your time and energy? Another thing I've discovered is learning how to focus on the connection outside of the physical. Now, you hear this a lot, but I'm going to give an example. For example, if I'm dancing at a club and I can't vibe with the hot chicks there's this one guy smoking a cigarette telling me, "Hey, I like your dance moves," and he vibed with me. And it was a 5 to 10 second thing. And then I go out, I sit down with my boy I've known, who really introduced me to the scene, and I vibe with him, and we had a great conversation. If you're going to a party and you feel you can't vibe with anybody, and that you would rather go back to your car and drive home and go to sleep instead and have a better time there, congratulations, you have achieved maturity and spiritual growth. Over time in 2020, to me, it was a great year. Blessings to everybody else that struggled. I compacted a lot as much as I can each and every single day. And when I did that, a year later, I come to the club and party after the pandemic. The pandemic's still present, but after all of this, it was the first club in about 10 to 11 months later. And I've applied what I learned, and I felt very, very in peace. And I wasn't trying to get along with everybody, but I wasn't trying to disrespect anybody either. I just wanted to come as I am and have fun. And I did. And so the stories that we tell ourselves is something to be aware of. I was having a difficult time the other day, and people see what they want to see. And I looked around as I was experiencing difficult people, and I was looking at their faces. Some people were happy, some people were sad. And when I came to this perspective realization, I started laughing for about an hour on and off, and they probably thought I was crazy. But I realized how much people write on their journal. Like, this is the way that I want to live my life, and this is the way that I want to perceive my reality, day in and day out. And I was laughing not at them, but I was laughing because I told my story that I am a happy young man just trying to get by in life, and that there's a future past these concrete cornered walls that is a lot bigger than me. And I knew, I believed it so much because I started to absorb information necessary, quote unquote, necessary information. Because you can listen to a 5-minute video like this and you might like 2 to 3 things. And so I picked out what was good for my soul and what felt right, from just all over the place, from YouTube to LinkedIn. And I realized how much of a focus I put into certain things consciously to learn and grow, that was the only thing that kept happening in my life. And there's a lot of people that feed into the bullshit, and out comes the bullshit, and to no fault of their own, consciously or unconsciously. But that was a good realization for me, and my body was feeling on overload, and I realized how sometimes I could put a deeper meaning at times more than what it actually is. Like, if I'm sick, I feel like guilty if I cancel a plan, and then try to like look deep into it. I've always been a deep person. It's fun, but sometimes I could be deep into things in a negative way, and in reality, and just simply, I just didn't feel good. And Gary V talks about how, why does it have to be so intense when we self-judge ourselves? Why can't we just say, well, hey, after 18 months, you sell the house, and you did your thing with selling homes, but maybe you're just bored and want to do something new, and once he, and that was one of the informations that I would absorb into my consciousness, downloaded software. And so when I stopped judging myself harshly, I decided that I truly now accept myself for making a mistake, and for feeling a certain way towards other people in my life that did me wrong. And I didn't realize it till recently that I would judge myself for feeling a negative way about certain people and situations in the past, that I was like thinking to myself, well, people do change, and people do right by the mistakes that they've made too. Just like me, when there's times where I would wish that others would forgive me for the things that I've done in my past, and like, but at the same time, I stopped judging myself, because these are things that I'm at least aware of and want to let go of. And so I would attract situations where I would see people in person that I felt a certain way about, and once I executed whatever I felt at the time, to maybe give the cold shoulder, or to maybe just like say my piece and genuinely smile at them, and just walk away instead of like trying to explain myself. I walked away not feeling any type of way towards me, or, oh, Alice, you should have said this, you should have done that. Like, no, I accept myself for handling that situation to the best of my abilities. And so I feel like once we start to accept ourselves more, we can understand that there's somebody out there that will never see the wrong in you, and will not really focus on the things that you think about the most, besides enjoying your company and who you are as a person. And I feel really good about that, because I'm at least honest with myself, and I'm at least honest with others, and that's really all that I can do. Another thing, focus on a connection. It's crazy. I write things down more so now. So my back has been hurting, and I feel like it's a symbology for carrying the weight of the world on my shoulders. Going back to what I've been saying, other people's problems isn't always my own. The way people think and feel about me isn't my issue. And I feel like when people have a problem that is that serious, that they would come and talk to me in their own time. And when I was exhausted yesterday, I didn't push on to anybody. I just decided to let people come to me in their own time, which I have been doing. It's just that I was going to send a message, kind of bugging my friends, like, "Hey, I just made this video. Come on, for you guys. What do you guys think?" But I realized that when I'm exhausted and I don't feel 100%, I'm not going to be receptive. So I just feel like it's really amazing how much I've grown a lot, and also seeing how people have changed a lot too. And I really want people to understand that we must practice forgiveness um, as soon as possible, because over time this subtle mild energy accumulates in my body and accumulates in my mind. It shows up in my face, it shows up in my gut. It does something to me when I don't work on it. And eventually I have no choice but to want to work on it because my body tells me to. And that's why I feel like it's very important to meditate and to understand oneself.